Hello, now we're going to start a new part on division. So division, most of you will think, wow, this is easy, division. Uh, and you're kind of right in the beginning. Others of you will think, wow, division, that's really difficult. Um, you haven't done this for a very long time. So wherever you're at in the spectrum, um, try to do the best to improve your division skills. The first thing we do is take 32 into 50, because 32 doesn't go into 5, so then we extend it to 50. 32 goes into 50 once. Now we put a 1 over the 0. Now 1 times 32 is equal to 32. Now we subtract. So what 50 minus 32 is 18. Now we pull down the next number, which is 2. So we see how many times 32 goes into 182. Well, I know 6 times 3 is 18, but 6 times 2 would be 12, so that would be 192. So let's knock that down to 5. 5 times 2 is 0, or 10. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So now if we subtract here, this becomes 22. Let's pull down a 4. So this is 224. How many times is 32 going to 224? Well, 3 goes into 22 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. And that's 22. 224 minus 224 cancels out. So we have 157. Wonderful. Hopefully everybody understands that. If not, rewind it. Try it again. Now I want you all to try this one and see how far you get. Hopefully everyone's done. I'll walk through this one. 41 goes into 163 3 times. When you subtract them out, you'll get 40. I'll bring down the next 3. So 41 goes into 403. I'm guessing 9 times. That'll be 9. This will be 36. When I subtract them, this will move down to 39, and this would be 4, so that would be 34. Bring down the next 4. Well, 9 times 41 is 369, so I'll have to knock that down by 1 to get 344, so that would be 32. This turn into 33, and that would be a 6. 16 is left over, and now we bring down the last 4. Now we're to the end. 41 goes into 164. Looks like 4 even times. Let's multiply it out just to make sure. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And voila. 41 divided into 163,344 is 3,984. Alright. Now try this one on your own. See how well you do. 72 goes in. I'm going to guess 5 times. And so when I multiply it out, I get 360. When I subtract down, I'll get 23 and drop down the next 4. 72 goes into 234 3 times. That is a 6, and that would be 21. This turns into 18 and 182. So 72 goes into 182 twice, which would be 4, 14. When I subtract it out, I'll get 38. So this answer is 532 and 38 over 72. Now this we could reduce a little bit. Let's say we can cut it in half, so that would be 1936. And that's about as far as we can reduce it. So 532 and 1936. Notice if we have a remainder, 38 is what we call a remainder. Remember in like third grade or something, we would write R38. We don't do that anymore. Um, we take this and divide it by that, and that's how much of a next number we have. So 38/72 is how close we were to getting another one value. And this can reduce down to 1936. All right. So now this process is important once we get to something like this. So now we do the same process. It might look more difficult because you have x's and coefficients, but it's all the same deal. How many times does x go into 2x cubed? A lot of people struggle with that. They don't know how that works out. So how many times does x go into that? What times x gives us 2x to the third? That answer is 2x squared. Now we have to write the x squared in the x squared column. So I'll write it right above the 2x squared, or the x squared. So 2x squared goes up here, and we multiply it by each of these values. 2x squared times x is 2x to the third power. 2x squared times 1 is 2x squared. Notice how there's separate columns. I put the x cubes in this column, the x squares in this column. Now once I multiply, now I subtract. So subtracting means I'm subtracting in both places. This one's going to cancel out. This one's going to be x squared minus 2x squared, which is negative 1x squared. Our next process is to drop the minus 4x. So how many times does x go into negative x squared? Well, negative x times x is going to be negative x squared, so I'll minus x up here. So now I multiply that by everything over here. So negative x times 1 is negative x times x, negative x squared. Now when I subtract, that's just like changing the signs. So minus the negative is plus, minus the negative is plus. Negative x squared plus x squared cancels out. Negative 4x plus x is negative 3x. Now we drop down the negative 3, or subtracting 3. And so what times x gives us negative 3x? That would be a negative 3. Now we multiply it out, negative 3x minus 3. And when we subtract, subtracting a negative turns to a positive, and there's no remainder. So this is our quotient. Our quotient is our answer when we divide. Alright, hopefully that makes sense to you. What you need is practice with these. So pause the video, do the best you can with this, and then we'll see how you do. Alright, hopefully you're done. X goes into x to the third, x squared times. When I multiply it out, when you subtract, you change the sign, so that cancels out. This would be 3x squared minus 3x. What times x gives us this? That would be 3x. So we have 3x squared minus 12x. I'll subtract, which changes those signs, so this would be 9x minus 36. What times x gives us 9x? That will be 9. 9x minus 36. When I subtract, I change both signs, and everything cancels out. So this up here is my quotient. Try this one. Pause the video. See how well you do. Alright. This will be x squared. So I'll have x to the third power plus x squared. Now I subtract these out, leaving x squared. We'll drop the next value, minus x. What times x gives us x squared? That value is x. So when I multiply it across, I get x squared minus x, or plus x. When I subtract, those will cancel out. This becomes negative 2x plus 3. What times x is negative 2x? Minus 2. So it's going to be negative 2x minus 2. When I change the signs, this will turn into positive 5. So now we have to think about what we did before. Now this goes over to the x plus 1. So my true answer is x squared plus x minus 2 plus 5x plus 1. Now in our previous problem right here, I could have said this was 532 plus 1936, but that addition sign is assumed that this is added onto that. So we don't write that when we have regular numbers. However, in algebra, that's not assumed. It would be multiplication if there was an addition sign there. So we have to add this second part. All right, so try this one. Again, pause the video, see how well you do. All right, hopefully you've done the problem. This would be x squared so now what times x gives us 4x squared? That should be 4x. When I multiply it out, we have 4x squared plus 28x. Subtract it out, leaving negative 12x minus 36. What times x gives us negative 12x? That'd be negative 12. Multiplying it, negative 12x, that would be a minus 84. When I subtract, that changes both those to addition. So 84 minus 36 would give us 48. So it would be this quotient plus 48 over x plus 7. All right, now if there's a different coefficient here, try this and see how you do. Hopefully you're done. 2x times what is 8x to the third power? That would be 4x squared. So now I have 8x to the third power plus 4x squared. When I subtract it out, we'll have 14x squared plus 9x. This will be 7x, leaving 14x squared plus 7x. When I subtract, this will be 2x plus 1. What times 2x? Well, it's going to be 1. So 2x plus 1, when I subtract it out, it will all cancel out. So our quotient is 4x squared plus 7x plus 1. All right, here's one more problem. You can do it out, see how it goes. This would be 1x squared subtract it out, so now we'll have to get a 4x in there, and so we'll have 12x squared minus 20x, so this is negative 6x plus 6. Here we have to multiply that by negative 2, leaving negative 6x plus 10. Changing the signs, this would be negative 4. So this would be minus 4 over 3x minus 5. Alright. Now this one is similar to the previous one, so you can try it on your own, but now we're going to move on to slightly more complicated problems. X plus 2 divided into 5x cubed minus 2x plus 4. Now, this presents a problem because we don't have the coefficient x squared. Now, if we do this problem without the x squared, it makes it a little confusing to go through. And I'll do one like that. But it's always easier to just plug in 0x squared. So, if we do this problem, this goes in 5 times. So we have 5x squared. So we have 5x to the third power plus 10x squared. When we subtract, this would be negative 10x squared minus 2x. What times x is negative 10x squared? That's negative 10x. So this would be minus 20x. So when we add, we get 18x plus 4. This would be plus 18. And when we subtract, we get minus 32. So then this is minus 32 over x plus 2. Now when we do this, we can plug in all the values, where it's x plus 0x squared plus 0x, or I'll show you what happens when we don't do that. So if x goes into x to the third, x squared times. So when I multiply this out, I'll have x to the third plus 3x squared. When I subtract it, we'll have negative 27 minus 3x squared, which is the same thing as negative 3x squared minus 27. Now what times x gives us negative 3x squared? The answer is negative 3x. When we multiply this out, we'll have negative 3x squared minus 9x. When I subtract, I'll change the signs. So that'll cancel out, and this would be 9x minus 27. Now what times x gives us 9x? That will be 9. When I multiply this out, I'll get 9x plus 27. When I subtract, this becomes negative 54. So x squared minus 3x plus 9 minus 54 over x plus 3. All right. Now this problem has a trinomial rather than a binomial, but you do it the same way. So how many times does x squared go into x to the fourth? X squared. So we put that in the x squared column. When we multiply it out, x to the fourth plus 5x to the third plus 7x squared. We subtract all of them, leaving negative 3x cubed minus 11x squared. We drop the next one, minus x. What times x squared is negative 3x cubed? That's negative 3x. So negative 3x cubed minus 15x squared minus 21x. When I subtract, that changes all these signs. So this becomes 4x squared plus 20x plus 28. Now what goes in here? That has to be 4. So that's 4x squared plus 20x. Oh, plus 28, wonderful. This works out perfectly, and there is no remainder. Try this one on your own, see how well you do. It goes in 2x squared times, leaving 2x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 8x squared. When I subtract, that changes all the signs, leaving 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 13x. Dropping that down. So this becomes 3x. When I multiply across, plus 12x. Subtracting will change all the signs, leaving negative x squared plus 1x minus 4. And now when we multiply it, this would be a negative 1, leaving negative x squared plus 1x minus 4. Changing the signs will change all those signs, leaving 0. So there's no remainder. All right, there we go. Now you have a worksheet. Good luck.